HOA Karen damaged my car, but she didn't like what happened next. I had just parked my car in my driveway after a long day at work when I noticed something strange. Karen, my self-proclaimed neighborhood watchdog, was standing beside my car, glaring at it like it had personally offended her. I sighed, already dreading whatever nonsense she was about to spew. "Karen, what are you doing?" She turned to me with a smug expression.
"Oh, this is your car? I thought it was some abandoned junk cluttering up the neighborhood."
I frowned. "My car is perfectly fine, and I parked it legally." Karen crossed her arms.
Well, the HOA has been discussing new standards for vehicles in the community, and quite frankly, yours doesn't meet the aesthetic we're going for.
I scoffed. "HOA doesn't have any rules about what cars we can own, Karen," she smirked.
Not yet, but I'm working on it. In the meantime, I figured I'd help speed up the process.
She stepped aside, revealing a long, deep scratch running across the side of my car. My jaw dropped. "Are you serious? You did this?" I asked, barely able to contain my anger. Karen shrugged.
It's just a little scratch. Maybe now you'll think about getting a more appropriate car for the neighborhood.
I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm. Instead of yelling, I pulled out my phone and snapped a few pictures of the damage. Then I turned back to her. "That's vandalism, Karen. You just committed a crime," I said, keeping my voice level. Karen rolled her eyes.
Oh, please. No one cares about a little scratch. You're being dramatic.
I smirked. "We'll see about that." Without another word, I dialed the police. The police arrived. 15 minutes later, a patrol car pulled up, flashing red and blue lights across my driveway. A tall officer stepped out, adjusting his belt as he approached us. "What's going on here?" he asked, looking between me and Karen. I handed him my phone, showing him the photos of the scratch. "She intentionally damaged my car," Karen scoffed.
Oh, come on. It's just a tiny scratch. He's being ridiculous.
The officer's expression remained neutral as he examined the evidence. "Ma'am, damaging someone else's vehicle, no matter how small, is a criminal offense." Karen's smug expression faltered.
But it's his fault for having such an ugly car.
The officer raised an eyebrow. The officer remained unfazed as he wrote out the ticket. "If you have any issues, you can take it up in court." Karen glared at me as I stood there, arms crossed, watching her downfall with satisfaction.
You'll regret this.
I just smiled. "I think you're the one regretting things right now, Karen." The fallout. A few days later, I received a letter from the HOA. At first, I assumed it was some new nonsense rule Karen had pushed through, until I opened it. It was an official notice stating that Karen had used HOA funds to pay for her fine. The board had launched an investigation, and after discovering her misuse of funds, they voted to remove her from her HOA position entirely. At the next meeting, the entire neighborhood gathered as the president formally announced Karen's dismissal. Neighbors murmured in approval, and a few even congratulated me for finally standing up to her. Later that evening, as I reviewed the security footage on my phone, a neighbor stopped by. "Man, I can't believe she actually scratched your car just because she didn't like it," he said, shaking his head. I chuckled. Some people really think they're above the rules. The HOA agreed to reimburse me for the damage using Karen's personal fines, and within a week, my car was back to looking brand new. As for Karen, she avoided me for a while, but her reign of terror in the neighborhood was officially over. No more petty citations, no more ridiculous HOA crackdowns, and no more Karen thinking she could do whatever she wanted.